disclosed that he has been making progress on the passage of the bill, especially on the need to bring stability to the Niger Delta region. He emphasized the need to dialogue with the militants to prevent further attacks on oil installations, saying the effect is being felt by all Nigerians. The Senate President, who also touched on other issues such as salaries of workers and teachers in local governments across the country to revamping the nation's economy, stated that teachers in the local governments should be accorded priority in payment of salaries, wondering how structures could be built without caring for the teachers who impart knowledge. He added that the National Assembly would monitor and ensure that the executive arm of government declares all revenue accruing to the country. And moving on to other stories, the Nigeria Labour Congress has decried the increasing exploitation of Nigerian workers by multinational companies who prefer to engage workers on a casual basis. The NLC President, Comrade Ayuba Waba, raised the concern on Monday while addressing participants at the conference in Abuja. Mr. Waba expressed worry that the action of these companies is daily leaving scars on Nigerian workers. He lamented the increasing gap between the rich and the poor, saying it portends danger for the nation if the situation is not urgently addressed. The General Secretary, International Trade Union Confederation, Sharon Burrow, condemned the policy of most employers to the plight of the workers who, she said, were being impoverished. In their remarks, a representative of the head of service, Mr. Emmanuel Audu, and that of the secretary to the government of the Federation, Phyllis Wokedi, assured the workers of better working conditions. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tuku Buratai on Monday warned that the military will use fierce force against Niger Delta militants if ongoing dialogue with the federal government fails. Buratai, who was represented by the General Officer Commanding 82 Division Enugu Major General Ibrahim Atahiru, stated this while commissioning the newly built 2nd Brigade Headquarters Complex and Olympic-sized swimming pool in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Lieutenant General Buratai, however, advised the militants who in recent months have destroyed critical installations and drastically cut down the country's oil production level to shun violence and avail themselves of democratic channels to ventilate their grievances. Acknowledging that the army was faced with shortage of accommodation and other infrastructure needed to enable them perform their national obligation, Buratai said the decision to renovate dilapidated structures and build new ones despite challenges of dwindling national resources was aimed at boosting the morale of the officers and men. The army chief also declared that the military would provide security for the July 30th legislative rerun election if needed. On his part, the commander, 3rd Brigade Kanu Brigadier General Stevenson Olabanji, said the renovation was aimed at improving command and control operations of the brigade. And on some business, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, on Wednesday meets the World Bank to finalize Nigeria's policy support document needed to complete its application for funds to help plug the $11 billion budget deficit. Adeosun said the delayed passage of the 2016 budget had stalled the start of infrastructure projects by the Muhammadu Buhari administration to the 4th quarter. By then, she said Nigeria would have secured funding from abroad for the record 6.1 trillion naira budget, quashing concerns that funding would not be available in time for the projects to begin this year. She added that the central bank's decision last month to remove a 16-month-old peg on the value of the naira is a signal that the international lenders, including World Bank, have been waiting for. Adeosun further said the federal government was hopeful of an economic revival even as the country slides into recession. Low global oil prices have helped push Africa's biggest economy into its worst economic crisis in decades. And the finance minister said the government did not dispute the International Monetary Fund's forecast last week in the economy, that the economy would contract by 1.8%. We go on a short break. When we return, foreign stories and sports. Stay tuned.